Okay, the first thing, this is the PiavcaDesigner tutorial with me, Marco, and Sylvia.
Hello.
Hello. Okay, the first thing you have to do is start up PiavcaDesigner. If you've installed it, you can just start it from the Programs menu, like this. Otherwise, you build it and you can run it using Python from the the Python directory underneath the main Piavca directory. Okay, so this is what PiavcaDesigner looks like. Expand it a little bit. First thing I'll do is actually open up a file so we can see properly what's in every bit of it. Peach demo.
So we're opening XML instead of CFG. CFG is more when you. What are the main difference between XML and CFG?
Okay, let's start by opening CFG. Yes, it's a good question. So CFG, basically that's the Cal3D file format, and what that includes is the character, the mesh, the skeleton, all that, plus keyframe animations or motion capture animations in Cal3D format. What Piavca adds on top of that is a whole bunch of operators you can do on those animations to alter and edit them in real time and combine them together. So basically all the XML format does is save that extra data of all those operators.
Okay.
So if you load up a CFG, what you get is a character, an avatar. By the way, I loaded them from the file menu. It has load save as fairly standard. You have a bunch of tabs here. You've got the avatar, you've got motions. So these are the actual keyframe animations that are stored in the CFG file. I'll open up Stuart. That's got some quite simple animations. It's a motion capture, but it consists of some quite discrete actions which are quite nice. We can break them up.
I noticed that when you started the Stuart animation, the avatar is not standing right in the middle of the scenario, and it's not like vertical as well.
Yeah, I mean, part of that is probably me moving the mouse around.
Okay.
To move this view around, you rotate with the left button, in out with the right,
so
and middle button or mouse wheel to pan.
So when I actually use it in XVR, I won't have problem like that, right? When I load different motion capture data, it's going to be in the middle of the time.
No, not necessarily. Motion capture data has a start point.
Okay.
So what you need to do is to use something called a reposition motion. Which is essentially, well, I'm getting a bit ahead of myself. I need to explain how everything works. So this is the motion types tab, and it contains all the types of Piavca animations and operators that you can perform on the animation, or procedural animation types. So you double click on any of these to create a new one. So I'll create a submotion, call that nod. And basically what a submotion is it's it takes a sub-range of an existing animation. So it's something that acts on an existing animation. We need to add an existing animation to it, therefore, so we just drag from the motions tab to the button, the icon for the submotion, and now we've added a new keyframe, a new motion. So this submotion is now is basically acting on Stuart, which is that animation I showed you.
Okay.
At the beginning, it just plays the entire range of the submotion. Now, if you go then to the parameters tab, that contains the parameters of the animation we're looking at, and all animations have a name parameter and a start time. Generally, you don't want to change those, but start and end are the special parameters of submotion. So start is clearly the point at which the animation, the start of the subrange, and end is the end of the subrange.
Okay.
For the end, -1 is a special value which says that it's the end of the animation, whatever that is. So I can change this to, I don't know how long the animation is, so it ends 10 seconds later, and maybe starts at 5 seconds.
So it's from 5 to 10 from the original.
Yeah. So now we create like a little subrange. Now, obviously that's not actually a very easy interface to work with if you have to figure out the exact timings. So I'll undo what I've just done. Reset range just sets it back to the whole animation.
Yes.
And what you can do instead is you can scroll around on this timeline. We called it nod, so we'll get the nod animation, so it's there. And then if you hold down Shift, this is not going to be visible on the video, but you hold down Shift, hold down Shift and drag, and then you get a sub-range of that. And then you do set range, and that just selects the start and end of the range that I've just selected on the timeline.
Okay. Can I still adjust the start and end time after I did the set range?
Yeah, of course. You can then edit these numbers.
Okay, so if I change numbers,
So I could move that to
18 or I'm sorry,
just 16.
Yeah, 16. Okay.
So then it starts slightly earlier. Okay, so that's an example of the kind of operator that will act on a single animation. And submotion is one you're going to use a lot, I expect, because you generally, if you're working with motion capture, you capture a load of motion capture, and then you want to break it up into little bits that you reuse. Now I'm going to go back to what I.
Can I just ask one more question?
Yeah, sure.
The motion you get from, say, motion capture, which is exported from 3D Max with Cal 3D, are they going to be exactly the same length as in time? I know that 3D Max is 30 frames per second, and how is Piavca working?
They should be the exact same length. Now, somebody pointed out something to me that there might be a slight problem that I think maybe the Cal 3D exporter was exporting slightly wrong timings. I think David pointed this out. That Max runs at 33 frames a second, and the Cal 3D exporter by default exports 30 frames a second.
Yes.
Now, I'm not sure if it runs those. It just exports 30 frames and calls that a second, which would mean the timing's wrong, or if it resamples it. So it might be worth checking when you export from Max to Cal 3D that you're exporting at 33 frames a second. I haven't actually done that, and it's possible the variation will be small, but it's still, there will be an obvious difference in the time. So I was showing you this reposition motion here, so we could reposition nod. Obviously at the beginning it does nothing. But what reposition does is you can change the start position of an animation.
What did you do? Did you double click reposition and then you add the submotion node reposition, right?
Yes, to get to one of these animations, to load it up, you double click on it, and to add a child, you drag that onto the actual.
So it's like you're not adding extra information